Want to kick us off?
Sure.
This meeting is being recorded.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Okay, great. Sorry, I got something on my screen. No, just hi, everyone. Welcome to the first NAC meeting of the year. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to see everyone. This meeting is just to let you know more what's going to happen coming forward with site preparations, and we just want to make sure your input is heard and if your questions answered. Like I said, thank you so much for joining, and we look forward to hearing your input.
Thanks, Paula. All right, let me share my screen and then we will get underway. Thank you all for being here tonight. We really appreciate your time. Okay, can everybody see my screen clearly?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for whoever chimed in there. Appreciate it. All right, so as Paula said, we have a few things on the agenda tonight. First, just a general welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. Thank you for your time. We have a number of agencies here tonight. We have the Department of Design and Construction, DDC. We have the Mayor's Office. We have the Department of Corrections, the Community Affairs Unit. Paula.
Recording in progress.
A little bit of an echo as well. And the project management team. And so first we'll start with an overall, sorry, I'm still hearing an echo. Is anyone else hearing that? Okay, I think it stopped. We'll start with an overall update on the schedule and what's happening with the Bronx site, where we're at today, and what you can expect to see in the future. We'll go through an overview of the community engagement, again, what's been done to date, but most importantly, what resources are going to be available for this community throughout the site preparation and future construction processes. And then we will turn it over to our design build contractor. We have a contractor who's actually going to be doing the site preparation work here with us tonight to walk everyone through the site preparation process, what they're going to be doing, what you're going to see out on site, when you're going to see things happening, different mitigation efforts that they're going to be putting forth for the safety and protection of this community. And so they'll walk you through all of those details, and then we'll open it up to everybody for a Q&A session. So with that, I'll first turn it over to Sasha Ginsburg from the Department of Corrections to kind of situate tonight's presentation in the overall context of this program. Sasha?
Hi, yeah, my name is Sasha Ginsburg, and I'm the Executive Director of the Borough-Based Jail System at DOC. For those of you who were involved in the NAC over the past few years, this information may be stuff you already know, but we just wanted to make sure that everyone is up to speed and actually, what the overall plans for the Borough-Based Jail System are. We are planning on replacing Rikers Island with a smaller, safer, and fairer system that will provide housing for a total of 3,300 people. This is, as you can see from the numbers included here, a massive decarceration plan for the city. Our current jail capacity is somewhere around 11,000, although the current jail population in New York City today is just over 5,000 people. There will be 4 sites in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and the Bronx. In Manhattan, Brooklyn, and Queens, it is on the sites of existing DOC detention facilities that we are about to actually start demolishing, and we'll rebuild on the same site. And as you are probably familiar with, the site in the Bronx is the site of the current NYPD tow pound in Mott Haven. And very importantly, these facilities will have a continued focus on reentry and culture change to model a new kind of idea of jail in which we bring a lot of services to people, and also that these facilities can be civic assets for the communities in which they're located.
So now we'll introduce, kind of zooming into specifically the Bronx site and what's happening with this particular project. So the RFQ, the request for qualifications to find the design build team to do the site preparation work, was released out in October of 2020. And then we released the RFP to narrow our selection down to one design build team in March of 2021. That design build team, who is here with us tonight, Yonkers Contracting Company, received their notice to proceed in December of last year. So they've just recently kicked off. The RFQ to find the design build team for the future contract, so the new facility that will be constructed is actually part of a separate contract. That RFQ went out in September of this past year, and the RFP, the request for proposals for that to narrow down the selection to one design build team, will be going out in the third quarter of 2022 of this year. And we do expect that the selected design build team for the new construction will receive their notice to proceed in the fourth quarter of 2023. Just a reminder to everyone, this schedule, what you're seeing here today, this is reflective of the city's commitment to close Rikers by 2027. So that's kind of the driver of this timeline. In terms of community engagement, you can see here a snapshot of outreach and touch points that have happened to date. This neighborhood advisory committee has been a key part of that outreach, and we do thank you very much for your participation. Most recently, in this year, we have briefed Councilmember Ayala. We did that in the end of January, and earlier today, we briefed Borough President Gibson just to walk them through the same materials that we're showing you and what to expect from the site preparation process. Moving forward, we're going to continue with these neighborhood advisory committees on a quarterly basis. And we are also hoping to do community board presentations. Our intent is to be doing those throughout the site preparation and construction processes. We do have a scheduled meeting with the Community Board Land Use Committee on the 9th of March. So that's our next upcoming touch point. There are a number of resources available for the community during construction. So when you see things happening, you have questions, you have concerns, there's a lot of ways to reach out, to get information, and to get in touch with us. We will have a community construction liaison. That person is starting on the 14th of this month. We'll be really excited to introduce you all to him. We'll have a dedicated phone number and office location that's very close to the construction site. We'll be issuing quarterly newsletters with sort of kind of broad strokes updates, what's happening with the process and what you can expect to see moving forward. We will also be issuing weekly look aheads to let the community know about what's happening, on a more detailed level with construction. What are all the activities that are going on a weekly basis? In the event of any impactful construction activities, things like if there's going to be a sidewalk closure, impacts to the street, or anything that you're really going to see happening on site, we'll be issuing advisories about those activities 72 hours in advance. And of course, we have our website. We recently revamped it to make it a bit more user-friendly. So all of this information is always available on the website. We will post presentations like this one and recordings of that on the website as well. You can always go back and find information there. So contact information, we will update this as soon as our community construction liaison is onboarded on the 14th. But in the meantime, if you have critical questions, you can reach out to Anna Killian. She'll be filling in for a little while. This is just the snapshot of our website and kind of a list of different topics and kinds of information that you can find that are always available on the website. The CCL contact information, again, as soon as that's updated and we have that person started, that contact information will be available. So at this point, I will hand it over to Glenn from Yonkers Contracting Company. This is, again, the design builder who has the contract to do the site preparation work, and that is separate from the new facility construction, which will happen in the future. And he'll walk you through some of the key information that you need to know about the process today. So with that, Glenn, I'll turn it over to you. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Lauren. My name is Glenn Oleknowicz. I'm the project executive for Yonkers Contracting. On the line also is Jack Donnelly, who will be the on-site project manager for Yonkers Contracting. What we'd like to talk about today is talk about the project itself. We're going to go through three main items: the schedule milestone, which basically when the work will take place; the site preparation and temporary sewer overview. We're going to talk about the work that's going to happen on the job site. And the last item, we're going to talk about the measures we will put in place in regards to traffic, air, noise, dust, and vibration mitigation and monitoring. So schedule milestones, just to note that these dates shown are based on what we know right now and are subject to change based on permits and other outside influences. But right now we have the NYPD vacating the tow pound area in February. Once they vacate, we'll start our site investigations, which include assessments and surveys, which are borings, test pits, removing trailers, and also the tree removal around the site. That's going to happen in February, March timeframe. After that is completed, we'll mobilize onto the site and put in the site fencing as required. This is based on getting permit approvals, and that's going to happen in the first quarter, by the end of the first quarter of this year. And then after we get our permits in place, as we're saying, sometime in September of this year, We're going to start the excavation, which is going to take approximately 9 months after the work starts to complete. So we're showing September of this year to May of 23. And then the temporary sewer work, we have a temporary sewer going on through the site, which we're showing July to October of 2022. This might be pushed based on permits till March to April 2023, but we'll, that's again pending permits. So overview of the project, the site's about 4 acres. It's existing New York City tow pound site. This project is required to excavate the site to rock, including existing foundations of the structures that were on site previous, and also to install a temporary sewer through the site, which is that blue dashed line that's going through the west side of the site. So just so you know what we're actually excavating out, there was a hospital building, a group of hospital buildings on the left side of the site. And these were built in the early 1900s, along with a nursing facility that's on the lower right-hand corner of the site. So these were built in the 1900s. They're added on to, in the 70s, they imploded these buildings, dropped them on the site, filled the site level, and then paved it over, and we have what we have is the tow pound now. So you see that dash line that's going across the middle of the site from Concord over to Southern Boulevard. On the next slide, we're going to show you a section to give you an idea of what that looks like. So on the left-hand side of this slide is Concord Avenue. On the right side is Southern Boulevard. And on the top of that gray block, that is where the existing tow pound is now. So that gives you an idea of the elevation difference from the Concord Ave to the top of that parking area. Everything in gray, the grade area, is the excavation that we're going to take off site. This excavation includes the demolished buildings and the soil that's on site. Right there, going through the hashed areas, those are the existing foundations we believe are going to be in place that we're going to have to demolish and also get off site. We expect there to be roughly 90,000 cubic yards of material to be taken off the site. Next slide, please. On the left-hand side, it's a typical site excavation. What you're going to see is we're going to have 2 excavators out there loading trucks. We're going to excavate down to rock, load the material into the trucks, and the trucks are going to leave the site. On the right-hand side, you'll see excavators. One has a shear on there that's crunching up the existing foundations on a project we did in the past. And another one will have a hoe ram, be another option for crunching down these existing foundation elements, which are slabs and walls. So that's what you'll see on the site typically for machinery. We're thinking 4 excavators total for this project. So when we start the work in the site investigation, which is the first thing we'll be doing out there, as a precaution, we're going to wear this level 3 PPE, which is going to be these Tyvek suits and people will have on respirators. That's to protect our workers during the initial site investigation, based on, until we know exactly what's out there. So there will be no issues with the public. We'll be monitoring to make sure the public's safe along with our workforce. So if you see that out there, that's just out of an abundance of caution wearing these suits. Once we identify what's out there, then we'll decide what needs to be done to protect not just our employees, but also the surrounding public. So we know traffic's a big issue on this site, and because there's going to be 30 trucks coming in and out of that site on a daily basis when we're excavating, we're going to make sure our trucks stay to the haul route. So our trucks will, when they're coming off of I-87, they will get off exit 1, they will turn down onto 132nd Street, and then they will follow all the way over to 141st, and they'll enter the site at the southeast corner of the site where we will create an access way. And that'll be the only way people are going in and out of the site. And it's to keep people away from the Concord Avenue residential area. Now, when they're leaving the site, that's the green line. It's pretty much a straight shot right on the Bruckner Boulevard and right up to I-87 North. So this is the pathway our trucks will be taking. So I'm going to talk about the phasing or staging on the project. I'm not going to focus on the dates, like we said, because that could be subject to change, but I'm going to talk about what each stage looks like and what's going to be done in each stage. So the pre-construction phase, the main goals are really, like I discussed before, was to identify the soil material. And that'll be done through borings, test pits. That's inside the site and also outside the site, mostly along the sidewalk. So during this work, there will be short-term sidewalk closures and parking restrictions in the areas we will work. We'll work in one area and work our way around the site. So it won't be full closures or full parking restrictions, but just partial. We'll also demo the existing trailers that are on site that the NYPD has, and we'll install measures to keep all of the stormwater on site during excavation. So stage one, this is when the actual work gets started. Before we do anything, we're going to make sure we install all our noise, dust, and vibration monitoring. And these are all engineered devices to protect our workers and also the surrounding public. We are going to excavate the site from the west working east. So the Concord area, the white area, is what we'll be excavating first. The area that's shown as item number 5, that's where we will park all of the trucks. All the construction trucks I'll be hauling debris will park on site. Nobody will park in the surrounding streets. They will all park on site, queue on site, get loaded, and go straight off to the disposal facility. That also includes our staff parking. They will be on site, and our craft labor, they'll all be on site, the parking to make sure that there is no parking out or people on the neighboring surrounding streets. So we'll excavate the site starting on the west working east, like I said, and then we'll demolish the existing building foundation elements working towards Southern Boulevard. Stage 2, again, working east, we're going to start demoing. Excavating the middle of the site, which is going to include demolition of the existing foundation elements of the hospital building. We're also going to start the excavation of the rock for the temporary sewer on site. That's the blue, red line, that there's a blue line underneath it. That's this temporary sewer that's going through the site. And we will excavate that rock. It's about a 20-foot cut through that site to get the sewer in. That'll start in this phase. Stage 3, again, we're going to continue working east, and we're going to excavate the site out and the building material. And then we're going to continue to excavate the rock trench for the temporary sewer. And stage 4, which is the last stage for the excavation, we'll finish the site excavation. We'll complete the rock excavation for the temporary sewer. And up on the top of the screen, number 6, we're going to start the temporary sewer work on 142nd Street. This is going to require a detour of 142nd Street between Wales and Concord Ave. So we will detour that area. The pedestrians will be able to go on the north sidewalk on 142nd, but the south sidewalk will be closed and the roadway will be closed. We will work with the DOT to put together plans for detours. On the 141st Street on the south side of the project, a sewer is going in close to the existing property line. So we will reroute pedestrians outside of our work zone out into the street, but we'll have barrier to protect them so they can walk safely in that area. There's enough room to have 2 two-way traffic on 141st Street and also have the parking along 141st Street on the south side. So all of the sewer work will be completed in that stage. So in the substantial completion stage, which is stage 5, we'll be repairing all of the street. We're restoring any pavement that was damaged or any sidewalks that are damaged. And we'll be retiring the existing sewer that runs through the site and put the new sewer, the new temporary sewer into service. And last, we will demobilize from the site. The community liaison will stay on site, and we will create a temporary sediment basin for runoff to, if there's a lag in between projects, a place for the runoff to go and to be treated and put off site as required. All right, the other thing we want to talk about is the measures we're going to take to mitigate traffic, dust, noise, and vibrations. So, like I said before, all construction vehicles and personnel vehicles and trucks will be staged on site at all times. The site's big enough to house all of the vehicles on site, so we will not have any on the surrounding public streets. We're going to create a single entrance for construction vehicles at the southeast corner of the site, which is 141st and Bruckner, to keep construction vehicles away from the residential areas. So dust control, we know this type of activity can produce dust, but we're going to make sure we take care of that by providing perimeter fogging to suppress dust at the property line. This is the picture on the lower right-hand side of the screen. These are just, there's lines that are on the fences, and it mists and keeps the dust from going off the site. We're also going to provide misting at each piece of equipment at the source of where the dust happens. And this will knock down 99% of the dust to make sure it doesn't get out. So we'll have dust at the piece of equipment, whether it's excavating or demolishing footings or removing rock. And we will have real-time air quality monitoring throughout the project. Whenever we're working, we'll be monitoring the air quality. And these are, like I said, this will be real time, so we'll know what we're getting at all times. Noise mitigation. Some of this work can be loud, and we have some restrictions we have for noise, but we're going to try to exceed the requirements, and we're going to provide sound blankets on the perimeter fence that's going to dampen the noise. And that's shown on the lower left-hand corner. They show a picture of a fence, and these are these blankets that are put on there that dampen the noise. Also, we're going to provide mobile fence with sound blankets around our equipment that's actually performing the work. And what this will do is dampen the noise at the location. So when it gets to the fence around the perimeter, it'll even be less. So that's our idea, to try to knock this noise down before it gets there. And again, we're going to be monitoring everything real time, so we know what's going on. We'll be able to react if there's any exceedances. All right, next slide. All right, this is just a picture of what we talked about before, the noise and dust monitoring. So really we show in the red, the circles, colored circles, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That's our staging moving west to east. And the key here is we're going to have a flagman at the gate no matter what to protect pedestrians with trucks moving in and out. We'll have a street sweeper along the street to make sure there's any dust or debris that gets out in the street. We're taking care of that. Like we talked about, the modular dust and noise barriers around the site, which is number 10. 11, which is an automatic wheel wash right at the entrance of the site. What this is going to do, this is going, as the trucks come are leaving the site, it'll get water to the underside of the truck and make sure it's not carrying out any mud or dirt out of the project site. So the whole idea with this graphic is that we're going to have a lot of controls in place for noise, dust, air to make sure we're protecting not only our workers, but the surrounding public. Vibration monitoring. This is got around the site within 90 feet of the site. We need to monitor the structures. So on the left-hand side, you'll see the a picture of a typical vibration monitor inside of a structure, inside of a basement. So this is our preferred method to put it inside. We get our most reliable readings. We won't be vandalized and won't be false readings. So we're gonna have to get a hold of the property owners to discuss what the best option is, but this is what we prefer to do. The picture in the middle shows vibration monitoring unit that's outside, but as you can imagine, is place it out on the sidewalk. It could be vandalized, and we'll get more susceptible readings. So we would rather have them inside if we can talk to the community members and make sure they understand why inside is the preferred method. And also for vibration, we will have some deformation settlement monitors, which is just a prism that's mounted onto a structure, and we have a transit that shoots that at all times to make sure it's not moving. So we have real-time numbers to make sure everything isn't moving, both vibration-wise and actual settlement. So that's all I had.
My video and microphone back on. Thank you so much, Glenn. I really appreciate you walking through all that information in so much detail. So folks, we will open it up for question and answer. And as we get started on that, I just want to say again, we recognize that this is it's a tough project. The Borough-Based Jails program has been contentious. There's a lot of different conversations happening around this. We do have, as you saw, Sasha from the Department of Corrections here. We've got some folks from the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice to kind of answer questions about the broader program. But it's also, as you can see from the slides and our timeline and some of the milestones that are coming up, this community is going to start seeing work happening out on site soon. And it's really important to us that we come out here, that we're able to share information about the construction process in a timely manner, in a transparent manner. So we do, we've got Glenn, we've got the design build team here tonight to answer any of your questions. If there's, if we want to flip back to some of those slides, talk about some of the technical information there, just let me know. We can always go back to some of that content. So with that,
Lauren,
we'll open it up.
Lauren, I'm sorry, it's Norberto. Hello, everyone. My name is Norberto Acevedo, the Director of the Office of Community Outreach and Notification for DDC. Could we go through the chat and just address out loud the several questions we have there before?
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for flagging that, Norberto. Okay. All right, the first one, I think, Glenn, this is for you. How is parking being affected on Concord during the 6 different stages?
Okay, so on Concord, the only time we'll have an effect on the parking would be on the west-hand side when we're doing our pre-construction phase, which was on slide 20. And it's going to be short term. We have a couple weeks of doing borings along that area. So that west side of the street will be taking the sidewalk, and we'll have to limit parking as we work our way down the street. We won't have to take the entire street parking and sidewalk, probably most of the sidewalk, but the parking we'll be able to have some parking out there, but not all of it.
Glenn, do you mean the east side of the street?
Oh, sorry, you're right, east side. Does that answer that question?
So thanks, Glenn. Thanks for the information. The next question is also for you. How is vermin going to be controlled? So as other projects, the community's seen other projects in this area, when construction starts, it kind of creates a migration of rats. What are you and your team going to do about that?
Great question. We have a rodent control process that's going to be in place. We're going to set up to 100 traps throughout the site. So we have a subcontractor who will take care of that. This is a process gets approved by the DDC, but we do have a process that will control the rodents in the area.
Okay, thank you. Next question is, can you explain again, why are we doing the site preparation, demolition? Why are we doing that from west to east and not the other way around?
Okay, that's actually another good question. So this is twofold reason. One of the reasons is because we created our site access on the east side, of the project to keep all of our construction equipment away from the residential area. So we want to keep all this area up on top we can on the east side to queue trucks and our staff parking and work our way out. The longer we have the pavement up there, the better it is for keeping the trucks up on the top. So we want to use that area. That's better. Yeah, thank you. So we want to use that area to queue the trucks. Now, another reason is because the sewer goes through the site, the blue line going north-south through the site there. There's a big rock cut there. So the sooner we get to that, the quicker we can get that started and get the sewer completed and ultimately the project.
Thanks, Glenn. Next question we have in the chat, and I do see some hands going up. So just folks, we will get to everyone who has their hands up next. Next question I think is for the outreach team, our team. How will neighbors be alerted that construction is underway or that contaminants have been uncovered? Keeping in mind that community board sessions have low attendance in this district. That is another good question. Let me flip back to our community resources slide. So we have, again, a lot of resources that are going to be available during construction. We also showed, do we have a snapshot of e-notifications? Nope, but it's listed on here. So when events are about to start, we are going to issue 72-hour advisories, 72 hours in advance of any construction activities that are happening on site. So in addition to sort of more regular reports and weekly bulletins, if anything's about to happen, anything imminent, we're going to be issuing advisories. So those will go out on the neighborhood notification list. I think everyone here as part of the NAC is already on that list, but if you are not receiving notifications, please put your contact information in the chat or let us know, and we can make sure we add folks, or if you have neighbors, friends who need to be added to that list, just let us know. So that's how we'll be keeping the community posted. We will also be issuing quarterly monitoring reports for the air, noise, and vibration quality monitoring that Glenn kind of walked us through. So the community will have a record of what's happening on site, what's been found, what's going on with that as well. Oh, and also just on the note that community board attendance is rather low. We recognize that. And so we also, our community construction liaison is kind of a day-to-day contact. The office there is going to be close to the construction site. He's going to be going around, knocking on doors, meeting local businesses, talking with people. He's a real great day-to-day contact. So there's a bunch of different touch points that we're going to have with the community to keep people informed about what's going on. Glenn, this next question is back to you. Where does the removed material go? And what's it used for? Will it be tested for asbestos? At what point in time? Can you talk a little bit about what the material that you're actually excavating and what happens with all of that?
Yeah, so like I said before, the material is mostly building debris mixed with soil. So when we do our site validation, when we go through and try to figure out what it is and characterize it, that'll determine, what level of contaminants, if any, is in it and where it needs to go. We believe most of the stuff will end up in New Jersey or Pennsylvania. That's what we believe right now, but that really will depend on the actual results from our material classification.
All right, thanks. And I think there's just one more question in the chat, and then we'll go to folks who have their hands up. Glenn, are any trees being removed or replaced? What's happening with street trees as part of this project? The
trees along Concord on the sidewalk, nothing will happen to those. We might prune those. We've been talking with the Parks Department. But the trees in the existing fence right now, all of those will be removed.
All right, great, thanks. So now I think we can go to the meeting of their hands up, and Norberto or anyone else from the OCON office. I think I'll see if folks as they raise their hand, but if I miss anybody, please jump in and flag it for me. So Ramona, I think you're the first hand that I see.
Hi everyone. So the questions I'm asking are really a result of the failures that we had as a team in the beginning in not engaging the community and not being transparent enough with the community. So as this phase starts, which is really exciting, and I can't wait to see it start, I really want to stress my concerns with the outreach plan and discuss how we can be better at that this time. So just reminding folks that are not from the community of the kind of folks that you're going to be engaging in Mott Haven. So not everybody has internet connectivity. Not everyone is comfortable navigating city agency websites. So these are all going to be challenges and obstacles that I see. If you want to go back to the slide for what your outreach plan is, that I see are going to come up with the outreach plan. So I know that we're going to have a liaison, but phase one, if I'm correct, is starting pretty soon in March. Is that person already onboarded?
The community construction liaison will be starting on the 14th of this month.
Okay.
That's next week, right? If I can keep track of the days.
Yeah. So that's next week. So I really am hoping that you guys will come up with an outreach campaign that really reflects this community and how this community absorbs information. So we're really big on flyers, on local newspapers, on TV and radio. We're not digital. So in order to make yourself accessible, I think that we need to focus more on traditional ways of communicating with the public, and possibly, I know you said that he's that person, I don't know if it's a male or female, but that they will be set up on site and also throughout the neighborhood. I'm wondering if there could be a central location on the construction site, not inside where they'll get hurt, but if there's a spot on the actual paneling that will surround the construction, that will give these updates and will actually provide information on the phases and the timing at which each phase is going to start. Because I don't think that 72 hours is an adequate amount of alert time when we know now that we have these 6 great phases and we know approximately when they're going to begin. So I don't know how the rest of the NAC feels, but for me, it would be better if we put out too much info versus if we're once again told that we're not sharing enough and that we're keeping people in the dark. And while I'm not a resident of Concord Avenue, I know that that was a community that really, came out strongly against the jail. So I would want us to handle them with as much engagement as possible to avoid the resentment and all of the things that have built up over the last couple of years from impacting the success of the project. And I think that the way we do that is by overwhelming people with information and accessibility to info in a way that they understand it. Like the visual at the end with like the little colorful things and like all of phases and stuff like that. As much as possible of that needs to come out. And I'd love to hear how other NAC members feel about that. And then regarding the trees, I really want to know how many we're losing and how many are going to come in, because I know that the environmental impact was another one of the groups that was really opposing the jail. That's another thing that they're going to hold on to, right? It's how are we taking away the little bit of green resources we have in this community, and are we going to be honoring them and replacing them? And the rats, this is my final thing. Our rats have become, through evolution, they're Bronx genetically powerful. So they're not your average rat. So I understand that you're going to have a contractor, a subcontractor that's going to do rat traps. I would really want to know as many details as possible about that process. Because living at Mitchell Houses, I'm on the frontier of all of the gentrification and the development. And the rats that we now have within our housing development do not respond to poison anymore. They've become immune to it. So the last thing I would want is for Concord and the remaining buildings around to have these hypergenetically modified Bronx rats running amok in their neighborhood. So I think that we need to pay attention to that issue, and would love to talk about that in more detail in the future. The info is not available today.
Great, well, that was a ton of great information. I feel like there were both questions in there and also a lot of suggestions, which our team totally appreciates. Ramona, thank you very much. I think we'll take these 3 points kind of one at a time, and I want to speak first to everything you were saying about our outreach efforts, and we again really appreciate it. What you're seeing on the screen here, this list, this is our standard list. This is stuff that we are doing across all 4 boroughs, stuff that EDC does for all construction projects. But we absolutely hear you that our team needs to be nimble, and we supplement some of these activities, and kind of tailor make things to certain communities. So I do want to reassure you that we understand not every community is a super digital community, and we need to make information available, like in hard copy, tangible, printed out, flyers and handouts. We actually had a team out there in the neighborhood today with a pick card, a project information card. It's printed overview about generally what's happening with the project, what are some of the upcoming activities, and contact information. And our team was handing that out, kind of going door to door, talking with local residents, talking with local businesses, and getting that information out there the old-fashioned way. So we totally hear you on that. And that's not a one-time effort. That's something that we're going to continue doing throughout construction. We do hear you that 72 hours might not seem like enough advance notice. So I do just want to flag, we are issuing the quarterly newsletter. So that's going to give a broader look about, larger timeline of what's happening on the project, a little bit further down the line, what people can expect, and also what happened in the last quarter. Then we issue the look aheads every week, regardless of, if there's immediately impactful activities or not. We give folks a snapshot of what's happening on the site every week. And then the 72 hours are in the event of like very specific, if what Glenn was showing you with, there's going to be work for the sewer line, and we're going to have to create the detour. So we'll make sure that, folks get an advance notice of that as well. So I just want to say we hear you, and we're happy to, we're going to keep coming back to this group. And so we'll let you know every time we meet what we've been doing as far as engagement. And we definitely want to hear from you, like what has been working and what hasn't been working, because we can course correct along the way and keep adjusting. So thank you for all of those suggestions. It's really, really appreciated. Glenn, I'm going to pass it back to you. I know you spoke briefly about, in answering the questions from the chat, the street tree impacts and the rodents, but now hearing Ramona kind of describe it a little bit more in detail, maybe you could touch back on some of those points and give her just a little more info, or have a little bit of a dialogue about it.
Okay. Regarding the trees, like I said, everything within the tow pound inside that fenced area, this contract we have is to remove all those trees to do the excavation. I do not know the final plans for the structure that's built. Again, we just excavate. So I'd have to defer to the DDC on that. For the,
I could chime in on that, Glenn, if you want. This is Marina from the HJV. As part of the new construction of the new facility is a requirement to plant new street trees. So the cityscape will be updated with part of the new facility at a future date.
Okay, thanks, Marina. The other question was the Bronx rats. I don't know enough about that, but I'm sure the professional we're hiring does. But I will assure you, our responsibility is to make sure we don't push the rats from the site out to the community. So we will make sure we are taking care of that, and we will do whatever needs to be done to make sure we're fulfilling our requirements.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks, Marino. Does anyone else have any other questions? I don't see any other hands up, but please let me know if I'm missing someone. Happy to give everybody a moment to think about it. I know we shared a lot of information. It can be a lot to digest. And of course, if you think of questions later and you're like, oh, shoot, why didn't I ask that in this meeting? Please follow up. Please send us an email.
Hey, Lauren, I saw in the chat that people want to be added to the notification list. So if anybody else wants to, they can definitely add their contact information. We do have folks from the NAC listed, but if there are other neighbors or other organizations that they want to recommend, please let us know.
Okay, well, I don't want to, we really appreciate everybody's time tonight. I don't want to take up any more of your time if there aren't any additional questions. So we can adjourn a little bit early, but again, if you think of something later, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're happy to take your questions, and we look forward to coming back next quarter and sharing with you, progress updates on both the construction and our engagement efforts. So, all right, everyone, thank you so much. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.